It's time.
Hey, what's up, guys? So, we are continuing our great collection of talking to the people who are competing at the Deep Waters Invitational, or, as I like to call it, the tour of people who can kill me. Now, the nice part about doing this little set of getting to know the competitors is that on this particular instance, we have somebody who not only competed at one of our tournaments, but loved it so much that he is coming back to do our invitational. So we're excited to talk to, now hold on, I want to make sure I get all of the names right. Chris De La Madrid. Do you have any more names, Chris?
No, that pretty much covers it.
Do you understand that I have a hypothesis that the more names you have, the more likely you are to win at Jiu-Jitsu?
I didn't know, I wasn't aware of this hypothesis, but I like it, and I can add more names as we get closer to the tournament.
Honestly, if you, especially as you get deeper into the Brazilian waters, you might want to be like Chris de la Madrid de Agustin of de la Spain because
Gracie,
Gracie, thank you.
yeah.
Because I do notice that like the smaller the the font type is on like Flow Grappling or like any of the IBJJF events, I'm like they're going pretty far. I think if you just give yourself 5 more names, you're at least in a quarterfinal. No problem. Let's get to know you. Chris, you are from Dynamics MMA. You are a brown belt. You are deadly. I mean, there's a lot of nice things I can go on and say about you, but I want you to start telling me a little bit about your journey. Where did the journey begin for you for jiu-jitsu?
Well, I'm a bit of a Ronin. I've been at Dynamics for 5 years, but before that, I trained with a gentleman by the name of Richard Bressler, a Horian Gracie black belt. Got my blue belt from him. I then went on and trained with Fabricio Verdum, got my purple belt from him. And for the last little over 5 years, I've been training under Henry Akins.
Mm. All pretty good people. So
Yeah.
there's a continuation of a very solid lineage there. This is something that's important to me. What was different about each of those dynamics? Like, what was different from, say, Henry Akins' form of teaching than, say, Fabricio's form of teaching?
Well, I find that every instructor has elements not only of the technique, but of the teaching style that you can take from it. And from each one of those guys, I learned a different concept of jiu-jitsu, and not just as a practitioner, but as an instructor. For example, Richard really emphasized being relaxed and technical and just being comfortable in really bad spots. Verdum really got me to open my eyes and really consider the different techniques and introduced me to the sportier side of the game, whereas Richard's more old school Gracie style. And same with Henry. And so Henry's emphasis has been kind of that Hickson style of connection, angles, pressure, and really emphasizing a good top game and not giving an inch, which is kind of synonymous with that Hickson game.
And that is something I do notice about your competition. You really do try to minimize the amount of inches that you are giving, which I think really bodes well, because if you are playing a good pressure game, you find that the people who are best at it are the people who know exactly how to contain and to strike when they need to. So that is, you're learning pretty well, I guess. I guess somebody could say. My question, though, is just this weekend, Fabricio Verdum was fighting. Are you able to, like, disassociate your brain when that happens and say, like, okay, I'm looking at this objectively? Or do you look at that end result of that fight and go, like, I think the scorecard was a little wrong?
I'm usually pretty good at being pretty objective. It's you do get a little bit more emotionally detached, but that's part of martial arts is trying to see the honest truth of the situation. And the more emotionally involved you are in a role or watching a fight, the less objective and critical you can be.
I find that to be true. It's just, I always find, especially if it's an instructor or a former instructor, I feel like there is a little bit of like, well, that's my instructor. Hold on.
Yeah.
No matter what you say or not, like, it's just like when you see, people who are important to you or your coaches competing. Everyone wants to say they're objective until they're over there talking to the ref and being like, whoa. Whoa, ref, what's happening there? That's not where they were. Reset that position in the right place,
Yeah. Yep.
So okay, so you travel with all these different teams, and then now you're at Dynamics. My question that comes up next, after I always ask about the beginnings of journeys for it, is when did you know you were hooked?
Mm. Um, I was hooked like day one, or I would say day two actually. I started training martial arts via karate.
Mm.
So my roommate in college taught karate and was always trying to get me to come in and train, and I was like, it's kind of weak, So I went in and I tried it, and I was kind of into it. Like I liked, you know, the techniques that they were showing, but where I really got hooked was on Thursday nights they had fight night, where it's just anything goes. You can wrestle people to the ground, you can punch people in the face, and there were basically no rules other than no dirty stuff like eye gouging and fish hooking, but it was pretty brutal. I was tired of getting my butt kicked, so I decided to try some other arts to try to even the balance things out. I took Jiu-Jitsu. After one lesson, I took down one of the black belts and submitted him. So I was it dawned on me, like, if I have this much power after one class, what could you do as a black belt? So after that, I kind of switched my attention to jiu-jitsu. Haven't looked back.
I'm gonna stop here. Let me see if I heard that right. Day one, day two, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
You then take down a black belt and submit the black belt.
No. In black belt.
In karate. No. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
So you were able to see the opening for yourself. You were able to say, like, oh, okay, great. Like, he in his respective field is good at this. However, jiu-jitsu might have some answers for me to cross-apply that even as I continue to go on.
Correct.
Well, I can tell you this. That's not many people's story.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, I think we're bypassing the fact that you had this weird fight club that you were just, like, going to and being an abiding citizen and going like, oh, is everyone here just destroying each other? This seems like it's for me.
Well, it was like invite only, only like the black belts were going, but because it was my roommate and he knew I was into it, I got invited.
Hold on. Okay, wait. So, again, this is slowly blowing my mind because I know about your competition side, but I don't know about the beginning side. So, pardon the asking here. When you say it's not just like to anybody, you're like, oh no, it wasn't open to anybody. You were a white belt at the time, so they brought you in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but white belts are kind of everybody. So they bring you in.
Yeah.
By invite. How is it that you get to then even remotely be in the competition? Is it just because they want to go ahead and prove the idea that all arts are welcome, or anybody who wants to test themselves, sort of a thing?
It was basically that they wanted just hard competition. Like sometimes in the gym you get that tough white belt that learns how to move really well early on, sure. And he's a good size, and you try new things on him, and that's what they were doing to me, but with karate. So I tried new things on them, and that was jiu-jitsu.
Well, this is a remarkable first day sort of thing. For those people who have this kind of a story, I want you to message me because I want to talk to you as well. But I can tell you, most people's story doesn't start like that, so that's great. You continue that on. That must be a great confidence booster as you go, because then if that's just where you're at, then the infinite potential of jiu-jitsu is going to continue on and keep going. So It also probably explains why you do well in competition, is because there's not really a jitters from day one you were already starting to test yourself in that realm. So that's good to know. All right, well, now let's get to this, because we get you here. Why Dynamics? Why do you train with them? What is the appeal of that team?
I originally came to train with Henry. I had taken some classes with him here and there, at my lower belts, and he had some very fundamental details that I had never seen anywhere. So that's what really attracted me to the gym to begin with. And as I've been with the gym, and the gym has grown, we've just attracted more and more high-level competitors and just practitioners, and we just developed a squad that I'm not only very proud of, but have really pushed me to the level that I'm at today.
I got to be very honest as well, because if I'm looking at your team, they showed up in a very nice form when they came to our OC Open back in May. So on behalf of us, we were very pleased not only to see you guys come, first of all, but then they did like really well. Like your team was podiuming like whoa, like everybody from you had blue belts on up who were doing super great. What was it about coming in to test yourselves at our tournament? You know, it was our first tournament that we were doing. So, you know, what was the appeal of coming down and doing our format?
I would have to say the rule set was very attractive. I liked that you guys were allowing all submissions and scissor takedowns, and it just felt really free form, including it being sub only, obviously. And it was my first EBI overtime rounds tournament, so I'd wanted to see how I fared there. And it just seemed fun. And it turns out it was a lot of fun, and you know we plan on coming back.
Awesome. Well, we would love to see them because, I mean, just from the list of people that you did bring, it wasn't just jiu-jitsu guys. You brought in some MMA folks as well. They did pretty well. And I love the fact that when we can be inclusive and have everybody come through and do what it is that they do well, it makes us feel good. So that was great to do this. Now, that happens. How did you do at our tournament, if you don't mind me asking?
I got second place.
Second place. Not bad. All right. Not bad at all, Chris. You also had some great highlight finishes that have been featured not just in your videos, but I believe even in ours. Here's a question, though, and I have to ask this. What is with your nickname? Because when I look up your Instagram, it is Hap Diesel. So what does Hap Diesel mean?
Well, I grew up in LA, and when I was a kid, Shaq was around, and his nickname was Shaq Diesel. My nickname in high school was Happy. So, you know, we just naturally converted Happy to Hap Diesel to emulate my hero, Shaq Diesel.
So Shaquille O'Neal is your hero.
Oh, he was at the time. You know,
he's not anymore.
I mean, he's a hero, but I don't have a poster of him up on my wall anymore. So
he's a hero. Okay, so he's gone down a couple notches. No more posters. Did you ever do a Shaq impression?
I did back in the day.
Interesting. Can you do it now?
Oh, I don't think it's there anymore.
Interesting. Hold on, real quick. I just want to make sure I'm taking down notes because I'll probably be doing commentary.
Okay.
Can take fights on seconds notice, but buckles under pressure on Shaq impressions.
That would be accurate. That would be accurate.
I just wanted to make sure. That way, when we do the live broadcast and I tell people that you are fearful, that you are chicken, and that you're really afraid of doing it. I want to make sure that they know I'm not just making it up. Because if they see you compete, they might think otherwise. But
yeah.
What do I know?
Part of it is it's jiu-jitsu's fault. I've gotten my voice box crushed so many times. I don't think
Get
I
out
can
of
hit
here. Get
Shaq
the
notes
fuck
anymore.
out of here. I will take it. I will tell you this though. I have had to sing and dance and do performance and do like impressions. And I remember once I was doing a performance, and we were learning guillotines that day, and I went to go just like hit like a register on a note, and I was like, "Oh, it's gone."
Yeah, no, it's true.
Oh no! Like I lost an octave just by someone just choking the life out of me, and I was like, I thought it would be 6 hours later. I think I would have it back. Nope.
Yeah.
Terrible. All right, well, I'll let you off the hook on that. All right, then here's the question for you, sir. Now I need you to really come back and sell this then.
Okay.
Why is it that you are going to compete at the Deep Waters Invitational? Now, you did our open tournament. You were very, very good there. When you got the call, I'm sure you must have been like, okay, if you liked our tournament, let's see how this goes. But why?
First of all, I keep my ear to the ground, and I've seen everything you and Andrew have been doing for the jiu-jitsu community, and you guys are very supportive of the local jiu-jitsu community and the jiu-jitsu community as a whole. So, I felt like you guys seem like good people, and I wanted to be involved in what you're doing. So,
you read that one wrong. We're terrible people.
Yeah.
We just happen to do this one thing okay. Like, I have a general rule on our podcast, which is like, we're generally shitty people.
Mm-hmm.
But like we like jiu-jitsu a lot.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's our deal. Well, you know what? We're excited to have you. If I'm being so honest, is because I feel you're a gamer. I feel like You like to get in there. You like to mix it up. You obviously, I mean, when you're there and you were competing, and I got the chance to break away to see a little bit of your matches, I was impressed. I liked what I saw, and there is the kind of caliber of individual that we look for. We look for those people who want to push the action, and we just feel it makes for better competition. And I was pleased when Andrew had mentioned that you would be doing our tournament. So on behalf of us, we're very excited to have you joining us. So obviously, you're coming through. Let's say this. Let's say somebody is not as familiar with your work. What are good matches, or the match that you think is like indicative of you and your abilities in jiu-jitsu?
I think if they go to your guys' Facebook page, the USSGL Facebook page, you guys reposted a highlight video from that tournament that you're referencing. And I think that that's a good example of some of the stuff that I'm doing lately. Yeah, I feel like that's a good representation of my jiu-jitsu right now, which is kind of an amalgamation of all these different styles that I've been exposed to. And yeah, that'd be a good place to start.
I like that. Okay, that's good. Continuing to promote our brand, A+. I have to ask this. Okay, so as this continues to go on and you are continuing to compete, now you're at a level where you're at a brown belt, you're almost to that black belt. What has changed? Like, what is the biggest challenge that you have now? Because we know what it is that got you in. We know what it is that got you hooked. But there is a challenge that continues for every jiu-jitsu practitioner. What is that challenge that keeps you going and keeps you going on this journey?
Oh man, that's there's a lot that goes into that question. I wouldn't say okay. I would say the greatest challenge for me right now isn't as a competitor. I think the greatest challenge for me is as an instructor, and that's my first love in jiu-jitsu. The competition, I just do that for fun, you know. Spreading jiu-jitsu is my real passion, and so the real challenge is trying to figure out, whenever I work with somebody, how can I make this person better at jiu-jitsu, whether they're going to work with me one day or every day for a year. You know, if they're a 130-pound girl or a 300-pound 50-year-old guy, like, what can I do to help them understand this extremely complex art that we're all practicing? And I would say that's the greatest challenge. And I wake up every day trying to figure out how to answer that.
That's cool. That's a really unique perspective. Most people just might be like beer and bolo, I guess. I don't know. Is that a thing? I just find that so interesting that is where you're going. Dude, I could sit here, I could talk with you about techniques for days on end. But I do want to ask this. Where can people find you if they are looking to see more of your work, see more about you, all that good stuff?
The best place to find me would probably be Instagram. And my Instagram handle is Hap Diesel, HAPDIESEL. Or they can find me on Facebook, Chris De La Madrid. The last name is 3 words, De La Madrid, like the city.
And hold on, are you still happy? Like, where does that nickname come from? Because every time I see you, you're in competition mode, and it's not like you're like a crazy competition, but you've got your zone. So how does that nickname come?
My friends from high school and college still call me Happy. I'm still a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. It's just like when I'm competing, I'm just trying to stay focused.
Okay, that's fair. And do you have any sponsors that we can take care of, sir?
Not currently. Right now, I'm looking for new sponsors, and yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, we get to play my favorite game. This is my favorite game to play. It's called Why Should You Sponsor Chris De La Madrid? So the way this works is very simple, guys. You give me a prompt, which is, right now I found out that this young man does not have a sponsorship. Now, that's a problem. The main problem with that is he does really, really, really solid jiu-jitsu. Chris, I need you to give me some arguments as to why people should sponsor you. Just 3 key words.
3 key words. I'm drawing a blank here.
All right, it's all me. I got it.
Yeah.
Get out of here. All right, guys.
You don't need me for this one.
Look deep into my eyes real quick here. Internet television. I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why you should sponsor Chris De La Madrid. First, he's got 4 names. If you look at that, that is statistically going to prove that he's going to do well in jiu-jitsu competition. Everybody knows the more names you have, the better you end up doing. Number 2, Chris De La Madrid is so modest that when I asked him what it is the most difficult part of his jiu-jitsu journey, he said teaching people, which, by the way, kids, if you want to really read between the lines, he's also available for privates. So if I were you, I'd take advantage of them because I've seen him compete viciously. And number 3, he's exciting. Now, you can sponsor a lot of people, and let's be real, there are some people who you sponsor, they're not super exciting at competing at jiu-jitsu. But with Chris, there's a true heart and a love and passion for jiu-jitsu. So if you're really looking for somebody who's going to exude a brand and a possibility for extending that brand to other people, look no further than Chris De La Madrid. Boom.
Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome. I expect my invoice will be paid in full later on.
The check is in the mail.
Thank you very much, sir. I just have to say this. I like what you're doing, man. I like the fact that you're going to bring in really, really good competition for us. And we look forward to seeing you there. Again, if people want to go ahead and train with you, Dynamics MMA, he's taking private, so take those advantage now before he competes and his rates go much, much higher, if I'm being real. And more importantly, if he's willing to wake up and make himself dedicated to making you better, then the least you can do is find out more about him and go train with him and find that out for yourselves. So that is my thoughts and my input. Chris, before we get you on out of here, can you do me a favor? We're going to close on this, which is, can you tell people what they can expect to see if they come see you compete at the Deep Waters Invitational?
You can expect me to go out on my shield. I'm either gonna tap everybody out or I'm gonna get tapped out, and I'm gonna put it 100% out there, and you can expect to see an exciting match or matches.
It's good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you are going to go ahead and purchase tickets to be a spectator at the Deep Waters Invitational, when you see the Eventbrite little drop-down box, be sure to put Chris De La Madrid as the person you are coming to see. And again, that's going down August 12th. That is at 5 p.m. over on the beautiful Broadway Pier in San Diego as part of our Deep Waters Invitational and San Diego Open that we have going on that weekend. So August 12th, the Invitational. August 13th, come compete with us. And you can find out more information from that at ussgl.com. On behalf of everybody here, Chris, thank you again for a great conversation. You're good
Thank
people.
you.
I'm going to remind you, if I feel you're being too aggressive, if we ever get to roll, I'm going to be like, no, your nickname's Happy. Remember that. Don't get too crazy. But on behalf of all of us here at the USSGL, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Good work out there, guys. That's the hardest I've worked yet in a competition class.
Guys, you know what would be insane? If someone made a tournament outside on the ocean. What? And what if it had like a party vibe? Like a DJ, some acai, maybe some cocktails? What?
It would have to be on the ocean by an aircraft carrier.
What? Eric, nobody would ever do that.
Of course they would.
No, they wouldn't. Nobody would ever make that kind of a tournament.
That is a pretty crazy idea.
I don't think so, man.
Eric, you have several ideas.